This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Dustin Hoffman.
Well, good day, everyone. This is Dustin Hoffman on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. Welcome to Ag Matters PM. We're coming to you from the 80th NAFB convention here in Kansas City. So glad you could join us here on this Friday, November the 17th. Coming up, we're going to talk with Rob Snyder of the EPA. Of course, we know there's a lot of things going on with WOTUS and E15 rules with the governor's requests as well. We're going to find out what is going on, what is taking so long, and a little bit more from them as well. We're also going to take a look at that ag weather outlook. But first, let's run down those markets. It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net. Well, we're at the end of another trading day, and it's time to talk with Kurt Kimmel of agmarket.net. And Kurt, I heard it's mostly a down day in those grain markets. You want to tell us what happened there today?
Well, it's Friday again, as you know. I don't know why we're doing Fridays, but should have sold. We basically was firm earlier in the week. Good news earlier in the week. A little bit of export news, confirmation of exports. Confirmation on Thursday. Weekly export sales report showed we sold 71 million bushels of corn, over 144 million bushels of beans, and kind of saw that kind of go the wayside, bought the rumor, sold the fact. This question is if we have some additional demand. Also, too, meal was really strong. We're seeing record soybean meal sales and even sorghum. Sorghum's been flying under the radar here too, but just need to feed that bull daily, and we failed to do it. Earlier in the week, we were firmer and gave up, kind of had some reversals down. Soybean meal got up close to 480. Looking for a little bit of a back and fill here as a sign of a correction. The big news, though, is Brazil. Northern Brazil, as everyone knows, has been dry. Southern Brazil is too wet. And we're seeing a chance of some rain in that northern Brazilian growing region. And that can take the edge off. Ideas are, though, we've lost anywhere from 5 to 15% of that crop. And ideas are we'll see the estimates continue to maybe come down a little bit because we're starting to get to the point of no return. As we get into 1st of December, we start to see things be a little late. Switching around, picking up that the Argentine guys kind of got their hands in their pocket waiting for this weekend election to take place to kind of see who's in charge and what type of economic policy they'll have. So just a lot of uncertainty in that region. Kind of sloppy on the technical side. Corn closed down 10 cents for the week. We had a weekly price reversal to the downside. The resistance in December corn is going to come in at this 480 area. Beans got close to $14 here this week. Those January beans closed down 7 3/4. So we're going to have resistance back up around that 13.98 area. Wheat, man, it took it on the chin again to Chicago wheat, particularly down 24 cents a bushel. So it was kind of sloppy to the downside. Also, going home there into midday on Friday, commodity funds sold about 1,000 contracts of wheat, 4,900 contracts of corn, and about 8,800 contracts of soybeans. So they continue to press the sell side on the wheat and corn. Funds are long the corn, but the December time window is coming up here fairly quickly, where hopefully they'll come rolling out of those shorts and move them to another contract month, because we'll have some corn deliveries here as we start to get into that last day of November, which is just fairly quickly. Otherwise, weather-wise, South America mixed. Here in the U.S., man, it's just been ideal. Here in central Illinois, we've seen a lot of groundwork take place. A lot of nitrogen's being put on anhydrous. It's a little warm for everybody, but they're getting it on. And so guys are going to be gearing up here for next year. What we've been picking up as far as next year goes, we're seeing a tendency to be a little bit more heavier on beans, a few more bean acres, a few less corn acres. But that's going to be the great debate here, what type of rotation and what type of acreage estimates we're going to see. But we'll know that in March. Between now and then, we'll have the grain stocks report here in January, and that'll be our first true indication of demand as we see what type of inventories we have in place here in the January grain stocks report.
All right, so checking on livestock then. Usually when those grain markets are down, livestock can take advantage, but were they able to today?
Well, we were able to hang in there. We've been going sideways, but yeah, this is a great environment for livestock guys as far as the grains go. And book some feed needs. That meal, like I mentioned, they're going to have a little bit of relief and pullback. They've been crushing for meal, and that meal's taken off. We've seen a big increase in DGG demand as kind of a replacements for some of these feeders and so forth. So there's some feed things taking place there. The fat market sideways. So we'll have the cattle and feed report here this afternoon on feed estimates anywhere from 101 to 102.4. Average trade gas is 101.8. Placements 99 to 108. The average trade gas is 104.9. Marketing's 97 to 98. The average trade gas is close to 98. The placement number's been well advertised, and it is higher. We are going to see higher placements, but it's on a percentile from the previous, yes, but overall it's still within the 10-year range. We'll see how those numbers come out this afternoon. Beef sales, weekly export sales report yesterday was 8.9. Mexico, South Korea, and China were the good buyers there. Pork-wise, had a good day there Thursday. We had a technical reversal up, even though the market closed a little lower in the week, just kind of grinding sideways in through here. So bring on this ham demand here as we start to get through Thanksgiving on to Christmas.
All right, well, great information, Kurt. If folks want to reach out to agmarket.net, what's the best way for them to get in touch with y'all?
You said it right there, agmarket.net. Go to Intel. Click on that Intel. That's where all the meeting of the minds take place there. Our team puts together some good information. Go to that area, or 1-800-779-1515. That's where we're at here in Central Illinois.
All right. Well, Kurt, we thank you so much for the insight. We'll talk to you again next week.
Very good. Take care, Dustin.
And that, again, was Kurt Kimmel of agmarket.net. Let's take a look at the closing numbers. Those come to us courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. December corn was down 7 3/4 at the close at $4.67. Soybeans down 20 cents at $13.40 1/4. Soy meal down $13.50 at $4.5330 per ton. Soy oil up 38 cents at $52.01. Chicago wheat down 2 3/4 at $5.50 3/4. Kansas down 9 1/4 at $6.18. Minneapolis wheat down 10 1/2 at $7.15 1/2. Oats down 6 1/4 at $3.45 even. December live cattle were a buck higher at $175.75. Feeders up $1 at $228.50. Lean hogs down 50 cents at $70.97. Pork cutouts held the same, unchanged at $81.45. And Class 3 milk down 44 cents at $16.67. And that's been our market recap. You can take a break with us here as we hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And then we're going to come back and talk with Rob Snyder of the EPA. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to AMPM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Dustin Huffman. Well, we know whether it's WOTUS, whether it's E15, EPA has got their hands into ag policy and sometimes are slowing down ag policy or making us wonder why ag policy is doing the things that it is. Well, we had a chance to talk with Rob Snyder. He is with the EPA, and we got some answers from their perspective on those topics like WOTUS and E15. We're talking right now with Rob Snyder of the EPA. And Rod, thanks so much for taking a few minutes to talk with us here at Trade Talk.
Thanks for having me.
So obviously EPA's got a lot of things going on. We know farmers are used to talking about land, air, and water quality, all sorts of things. And there's a new initiative, a new subcommittee being announced. Tell us a little bit about what's going on there.
Yeah, so today we are announcing that the agency is going to be forming an Animal Ag Water Quality Subcommittee that's going to sit under EPA's Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities Committee. We're going to be selecting somewhere between 15 and 20 stakeholders from across the country who are experts in animal agriculture, CAFOs, AFOs, and water quality to spend the next year or two really bringing together a diverse set of voices, looking at how we can work with the community to improve water quality outcomes. This is an extension of a lot of work that the agency has done with the animal ag sector over the years, but this is an opportunity to try to bring lots of voices together in a collaborative way to try to improve the program. We're also going to be working with USDA on this effort. They have agreed to also sit on the subcommittee because USDA funds a lot of important voluntary incentive-based work when it comes to water quality. So bringing both EPA and USDA together with partners to help move the conversation forward.
So where are we kind of, what's kind of the starting point, and where are we kind of hoping to gain, what kind of knowledge are we hoping to gain from that kind of committee?
Well, we're looking to see if there are best management practices that can be incorporated in a variety of ways. How have things changed over the last 10, 20 years with respect to management, both at the within the feeding operations, within the facilities, but also in terms of on-field applications. What are farmers doing today that's perhaps different than before in terms of nutrient management? All of those things are certainly going to be on the table. At the end of the day, we hope that the subcommittee can come forward with a series of recommendations to present to the administrator with respect to these issues.
Okay. And so, water quality obviously being a big issue, and we know the WOTUS discussion is something that comes up a lot. I mean, where are we at there on that right now and how things are being handled? Well,
the WOTUS issue has been going on for years, if not decades, and there's been a lot of activity here in 2023. The agency put out a final rule in January, and that was in a lot of ways due to the fact that federal courts had vacated the last two administrations' WOTUS rules. So both the Obama and Trump rules had been vacated. So we were really needing to start over again in many respects. I should also just mention that WOTUS is not a discretionary activity. The Congress said that EPA and the Army Corps have to set what are the geographic bounds of the Clean Water Act, what's in, what's out in terms of federal jurisdiction. So we can't just leave that as an open question. So we finalized a rule in January. We did some important things like building in agricultural exclusions right into the regulatory text, things like prior converted croplands, certain ditches, artificially irrigated areas that are never going to be jurisdictional for the federal government. They're always excluded. That was an important step that we took. The big news, of course, was that the Supreme Court in the Sackett decision in May did change the rules of the game a little bit, removing the significant nexus test, some other things. So we had to then quickly make amendments to our final rule, which we released in August. So you can see it's been a meandering path this year with both regulation and federal court decisions. Right now, our rule is stayed in 27 states, and it's in effect in 23 states. So that means there's still a couple of federal court cases out there that need to be resolved in the coming, hopefully, months. What we really want is a durable definition that farmers and landowners and everyone can basically know the rules of the road, work under that set of rules for years to come, and not have this constant back and forth in terms of the changing definitions. We know that's not good for the environment. We know it's not good for farmers. We want to have something that's going to last. I think we're all working towards that goal.
So what message can we give farmers, though, that are worried about EPA having control over maybe what they would consider too much? I mean, everybody thinks navigable waters that should control the Mississippi, the main waterways that are interstate, and some people are worried. I mean, the whole thing has been they're going to control my mud puddles sitting in my yard.
We just want to be really clear that the agency is intending to follow the science and follow the law. And the Supreme Court has set certain parameters based on the Sackett decision that, quite frankly, is a narrowing of earlier Supreme Court decisions, and we're committed to following that. And so that's where we are today. We built those agricultural exclusions into the rule on purpose to try to bring clarity to farmers that certain things are not going to be under federal jurisdiction. And also, the Clean Water Act itself has exemptions for normal farming activities that are not jurisdictional either. So we hope that as we go forward, that some of that anxiety goes away, and that we can work with farmers on a really steady state of a regulatory regime going forward.
Okay. And then the last thing I guess we talk about today is biofuels. I know the E15 battle has been something that's been going on. There's been some, a couple governors that asked for permission to do some stuff, and still waiting for that finalization. I mean, where are things at what can farmers know and what can the people know that want to have E15 year-round?
Well, it's a great question. Let me start by saying in June of this year, EPA finalized the largest renewable fuel standard set of volumes in the history of the program, the SET rule, which for the first time created renewable volume obligation mandates for the next 3 years, not just 1 year. Normally we'd do it 1 year at a time, but now for the next 3 years, we have finalized growth volumes under the RFS, the largest volumes ever. So we're trying to create a really solid foundation for the biofuels industry going forward. In addition, the last 2 summers, Administrator Regan at EPA issued emergency waivers because of the war in Ukraine and the impacts on the fuel supply in the United States and globally, allowing for E15 to continue to be sold in the summer on a nationwide basis as a result of those fuel supply impacts. Going forward, we know that 8 governors from the Midwest are asking for, have petitioned for some changes under the Clean Air Act to allow for E15 to be sold in those states, and we're working through that rulemaking process even as we speak, and hopefully we'll have some updates in the coming weeks about that.
And I guess I know a lot of farmers are asking the question. We have the temporary ones, and we're thankful that those emergency orders get put in place, but what is it going to take to just literally have it year-round? Because it's a matter of choice. It'd be like, what people have said, it'd be like Honey Nut Cheerios can only have it 9 months out of the year, instead of why can't we just get that done again?
Well, it's a great question, and the biggest reason for that is that the way that the Clean Air Act is structured, there are certain prohibitions on higher than E10 blends in the summertime. And so because of air quality questions, if you will, there have been bills introduced in Congress, because that's a legislative issue. There have been bills introduced in Congress that would enable year-round E15 sales. Now that's out of the purview of EPA. If Congress decides to pass those bills, that would amend the Clean Air Act to allow that. We're working with the authorities that we have, which is the last 2 years that meant emergency waivers, and now it means working with the states, with the governors on their ability to petition. Those are the tools that we have available, but also Congress could act if they so chose and could amend this to allow for a permanent solution.
All right. So producers out there, our viewers, everyone want to find out what EPA is doing and get more information, maybe more clarity on what's going on. Where's the best place for them to go look? Yes,
we have an Ag Advisors Corner on EPA's website where we try to keep that updated with information about our Farm and Ranch and Rural Communities Federal Advisory Committee, about other ag issues that are pending for the agency. So certainly go to EPA.gov and search for the Agriculture Advisors Corner, and you can find information there.
All right, thank you very much, Rod. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
That again was Rob Snyder of the Environmental Protection Agency. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ag weather outlook. Well, the sun's still shining across much of Iowa. In fact, it is here in Kansas City as well, though a little bit cooler than what we saw yesterday. Temps are going to be a little bit closer to seasonal, but it's going to definitely cool off again tonight. Let's take a look at what the National Weather Service has for us in store for the next 24 hours. Well, as we saw today, the sun remained around Iowa, though it was a little bit cooler. We saw high temperatures anywhere in the upper 40s to the low 50s. Tonight, it's going to get a lot cooler, and we're going to have clear skies, and we're going to see temperatures drop down into the mid-20s to the low 30s. Tomorrow, sunny skies, just a little bit warmer, and we'll see highs anywhere from the mid-50s to the low 60s. Taking a look at that affiliate weather map for you. Tomorrow, Cherokee looks to be sunny and 58, same as Albia, sunny and 58. Shenandoah, sunny 62. Des Moines, sunny and 59. Waterloo, sunny and 56. And Clinton, sunny. And that's been a check of your ag weather outlook. For more detailed forecasts in your area, take a look at your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that brings us to the end of today's show. You can find all our content online at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on Facebook, X, LinkedIn, and in our YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon so you can always be notified when we put out new video projects. Also, don't forget about our free market podcast coming to us from Google, Amazon, Apple, and Spotify, and of course, Podbean as well. From the Kansas City Westin Hotel and the NAFB Convention for the 80th Annual, I'm Dustin Huffman for Andy Peterson, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. We thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.